Hello and welcome back to the Unboxable Unstoppable podcast with me, Elena Turley. I'm thrilled to be here again recording this podcast. It's one of my favourite parts of the week. This episode, as usual, is presented by the Soul Mama Academy. We invite you to weave your dreams with confidence. Our signature program, the Lion Life Roadmap, offers a comprehensive monthly membership for mothers who are based in the home, either working or caring for family. It is ideally placed to serve women craving monthly support in the form of workshops, group coaching, transformative interactive sessions with experts from all over the world, community most importantly, and occasionally real-time events. So today I would just really like to encourage you to consider this mission that I have embarked upon, which is about women finding their way back to themselves. I'm going to explain it all like this. So basically, the way I see it, so much of the time, women, when they become mothers, feel that they need to choose between their old identity, being a mother, and a new identity. And somehow we feel like sometimes we need to replace one with another. And I really want to encourage us to think differently about that and consider that it's not necessarily that straightforward or that black and white, and that really what we want to do is become whole. So as you can hear, I'm talking about this in an unscripted way. I'm just speaking to you from the heart. And when I speak like this, I feel vulnerable and I feel exposed, and I wouldn't say I feel comfortable doing this, even though I might sound like I feel comfortable sometimes. And a lot of that is just about me practicing the habit of telling my story and sharing the stories of others so that I can move towards this mission. So the mission really is about supporting women to feel whole and to feel fulfilled. And the reason that mission is important to me is that I haven't always felt that way, number one. But number two, I really believe that the world that we are giving to our children needs a little bit of help and conscious support. Environmentally, emotionally, on a lot of different levels, particularly environmentally. So one of the ways that I really feel we can make a massive difference, it's, yes, we have to do practical things. We have to change the way that we live and the choices we make involving plastic usage, involving fossil fuels, involving economics. There's a lot of levels. But they're not the things that call me to change. The thing that calls me to change is how I am in the home. And I think we really mustn't underestimate the power of making different decisions in the home. Not only does it influence the way that our children experience their lives and grow up and gives them a kind of a baseline for how they work in their lives, but also when we change the way we behave, we actually become trailblazers and modelers of different behaviours for other people. So I just want to really don't underestimate the power of small choices. That's how we change the world, I believe, is we create a new narrative of positivity and of excitement about the changes that we can make, and we support each other to make those changes in a way that is long-term sustainable. So no flash in the pan kind of, let's change everything all at once. No, change one thing at a time, slowly but surely, and in ways that are exciting and joyful and that you want to keep doing. So that's a large part of what the Soul Mama Academy is about as well, is how do we do that? How do we do that easily and simply and efficiently and affordably, and at the same time change our mindset around that, change our thinking around that? And I think the thing is that when we start thinking differently about this stuff, it really changes the way we feel on a deeper level. And now, why is that important? Well, certainly for me, there's been a lot of moments in my life where I didn't feel empowered to make changes, where I felt trapped in certain situations, whether they were addiction or troubled relationships or financial issues, or there was a lot of different things that I experienced, which I've talked about before in this podcast. And if you're new to this, I encourage you, please go back and have a listen to episode 1 to understand why I'm doing this a bit better. But really the point is that, day to day, like I met with a friend yesterday, really lovely friend, and we always have great conversations. She's highly educated, highly capable woman. And whenever she talks, I really listen, but she doesn't necessarily understand the power of her words or her ideas. Like, she has been mothering 3 children and really is in a place that I totally relate to, where we feel like we have this opportunity as our children grow up a little bit older to make a decision about what we're going to do with our time and maybe move back into the world a little bit with work, or start a business, or retrain is a common one, go back to study. But how do we choose? Like, we're just not sure. We're not sure. It feels like such a big burden, such a big, I guess, responsibility to make that choice. And we feel often, I think, like, well, I've certainly felt like the choice that I make at that moment is so important and I have to get it right. And it almost causes like option paralysis. There's so many options that I can't do any of them. And I have no idea, like, how do I reference that decision? How will I know, I'm going to commit to a course of study that might be 1, 2, 3, 6 years long? How do I know that it's the right thing? How do I know that the next thing I do will be right and will give me what I want, And often I think what a lot of us want in that situation is we want flexibility to still be able to be there for our families as they grow. We want to make money and have success and be financially contributing to the family budgets and to our own freedom financially. And I think we also really often feel like we're longing and yearning for something fulfilling at a soul level, at a deeper level, And it's really difficult. It's a difficult moment. And how do we know what's going to give us this new way to move forward with these new variables of, children and supporting husbands and family and friends? And how do we balance all of that and do something for ourselves when we're not used to it? We're not accustomed to making choices for ourselves because we've been mothering and focused on our children and focused on those other things that we've been called to do. How do we reframe and refocus on ourselves? How do we hold ourselves accountable so that we don't flounder in that position and flail around unsure of ourselves, unsure of our decision for the next 10, 20 years, and then find ourselves alone and unfulfilled when the kids are leaving home, or in their teenage years when they're not around and they don't need us as much? And, that's it's a lot. And we start thinking and we start sort of spinning in space and flailing around and not doing anything and not making any choice because we're not certain of what to do. And we're so unused to being in that position where we need to make a decision that prioritizes ourselves. But I do know this from my experience that, first of all, let yourself off the hook. I really want to encourage you to allow that process to occur, but also to know that if you do make a decision, if you do make a choice and it's not right, well, you can do something else. It doesn't have to be that you change everything all at once. How can we bring back simple things and simple choices and joy and freedom and ease into our lives? Well, we need to fulfill that calling deep inside us that says you are more than school lunches, school pickups, arguments with your children over silly little things and, supports to those around you. You actually are more than that. And I know that's huge. I'm not downgrading that. Okay, I want to normalize all of those things are the highest value. They are so valuable and nobody can do those things better than a mum or a dad. So for a mum and a dad, if they're able to be there for their kids, awesome. And if you're working and that's what you need to do for your kids and your family, awesome. I'm not saying any of those things are more or less important. But from my experience, if we have been in the home for a long time and potentially out of the workforce for a long time, it can be a very, very tricky moment. We have this kind of dissonance. We have this conflict within us where we want to stay in our comfort zone. We want to be there for our kids. We want to be this amazing person for our family. But something else is calling us for ourselves or for an impact we wish to make in the world. Often we feel there's a greater impact we can make in the world. So it's a twofold thing. There's that dual kind of pull. And sometimes it's really hard to work out how can we do both? How can we be both without becoming crazy busy, without taking on too much, without losing contact with ourselves in the process and just being too much in the world and too much responsibility at home. And then that becomes a whole other issue. So how do we find that balance? And it feels like a lot. It can feel heavy and it can feel overwhelming. And I guess what I just want to say is that it is never the wrong moment to take a breath and to remember that whatever you choose is going to be all right. And that there are communities and there are people like me and my community that are out there to help you make that choice. and to support you and to bring our collective wisdom that is always greater. Collective wisdom, honestly, when you're in a supportive community, my experience of it in other supportive communities that I'm in is that, and that I've built before as well, is that there is nothing like a group of women getting together and collectively supporting you through something. There's nothing like it. It's incredibly powerful. And it's one of the reasons it's my life work is because I love that. I think it's an amazing thing. And funny story, actually, my middle name is Miriam, which the name Miriam basically refers to a biblical story. But one of the meanings of it is that you lead women in song and dance. And I love that so much because it's totally what I want to do. I want my whole pull and drive at this point is to get women together and for us dance through life together. You know, like how can we sing our song and say our words and be all that we are together? Anyway, stories and namesakes aside, I do know that there is power, great power in people coming together with a common goal. And I know I've experienced that myself when I was in recovery from addiction. I had an experience with the 12-step program where a community embraced me and really, you know, loved me through with a lot of principles as well, but like really loved me through a huge amount of pain and anguish that I experienced through the shame of early life trauma. I carried some serious baggage into my life as a parent, and there is no way that I could have healed or recovered or felt differently about my life without the power of community and connection. And that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about bringing that to other people. It's just that there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it when a group of people with a common intention, doesn't mean we're all the same, maybe we have a similar approach, but a common intention is powerful. It lifts our energy. I mean, you know, if you have one of those moments, like I had one this week where I went for a walk with a friend to a coffee shop. And I talked about something, and it wasn't until I talked about the fact that I was really stressed out about our home and whether we would be buying a house or not buying a house or moving or not moving. There's a bit of uncertainty around that at the moment, and it triggers me on all kinds of levels around, you know, moving a lot as a kid and having some unstable living situations as an adult as well. You know, and I'll tell you something. At the moment, I'm training towards a black belt. I'm hoping to grade sometime next year potentially. I'm already a martial arts instructor, and, you know, last night we had a meeting, our instructor meeting, and well, I realised that the timeline might be changing, and this part of me kind of went, holy cow, how am I going to train and be, you know, this excellent black belt at the grading that I really want to be if I don't have as much time, or if I have more time than I thought, you know, and it was kind of confronting. And these are the kinds of things that I think happen to us a lot. You know, life sends us all sorts of challenges and unpredictable experiences and moments where we don't know what's going to happen, and we get confronted by a part of us that is unsure, uncertain, and, you know, it's uncomfortable. And I know in those moments, really, the most absolutely transformative thing I can do is I can come clean to someone about how I'm feeling, someone I trust, and ask for them to hear me and hold a space for me and maybe share their experience. And that is the thing that transforms. That is the thing that allows me to feel differently and move forward alongside my fear. So I guess the thing that I really want to share today, most of all, is that no matter where you're at on your path, you might be about to have a child and feeling really confronted about your transmutation into a mother, what we call matrescence, as you change on every single level. You change your physiological state, your spiritual state, your mental state, your emotional state, your lifestyle. Everything changes when you have a baby. And, you know, surrendering to that's a really good idea. If you can accept those changes in the most graceful way possible, with support is the best way to do it, but that's not always possible, then it will be easier. And there's going to be challenges, you know. And then every different stage of motherhood and parenting brings a new, different challenge, a new joy and a new challenge. And there's light and shade. And we're going to have light and shade throughout our lives, no matter what. It's part of the human experience. So how can we experience those light and shades, those darkness moments, those happy joy moments, those challenges, those times when we're called to move and change our lives in a more deep way, in a bigger way. How can we do that with the least resistance, with the least difficulty? I'm not saying there won't be suffering. There will. There has to be. In fact, through suffering and struggle have come my most creative and most exciting periods. They will happen. So how do we do those in ways that we are safe, that we are supported, that we get the best possible information at that moment? So I would encourage you, however you can in your life, to find community and find collective connection. Now, things can hold us back from that. We could feel social anxiety. We could have mental health issues. We could have physical issues. There's a lot of obstacles that can feel immutable. So then to you, I would say, take a small step in that direction. Just take one small step. Join an online community like mine. Find another online community that speaks to you. Just find your people and start with baby steps. Be a lurker in the group. Just listen. Come into my Soul Mama Hub group on Facebook if you like. There's a lot of lurkers there. Just start listening about the ways that we share to do with ethical living, to do with connected parenting. Start listening. Start paying attention to some new ideas and allowing them into your life. Open yourself up just a tiny bit. And that's okay. Sit there for a year if you like. Take your time. Take your own time. It's about following your own divine path and allowing that to take the time that it will take. There is a divine timing in things, and it's really amazing when you start to trust that and bring in patience and grace and practice patience and grace and gratitude for where you are, because nothing changes until we accept where we are. So for me, like today, it's about going, okay, I'm in this really interesting stage of my life where I'm starting this business, the Soul Mama Academy, and I'm learning every single day. I'm learning about the ways that my thinking help me, or my thinking helps me, or it holds me back. I'm learning about how to create an incredible dream that I've had for a really long time. And I've been working towards it for years. I'm not completely new, but doing this in this particular way is new. And I tell you what, it's challenging. Like, I'll be honest with you, the imposter syndrome, the feeling that, who am I to be doing this? The sense that I am aiming so high, and every now and again I think, can I do this? I question myself. And that's when I have to turn to my support systems and my communities and my husband and my, all of the people that hold me up and accept their collective wisdom and their collective support, and come clean and accept where I'm at with this. And then I push through that little bit and I expand a little bit more and I go, yeah, of course I can do this. I've got all the skills I need, and often I think we really downplay what we have. And that's okay. It's really good to remain humble. I don't want to come in and go, I've got all the answers. Nobody's got all the answers. But I will say that what I'm getting more and more masterful at is facilitating these changes in other women. And I love watching it. Like, there's such an incredible joy in doing the thing that I really feel I'm here to do and I'm meant to be doing, and seeing it have an impact in the lives of other people. It is so powerful. And so that kind of impactful living, that's what calls me, something else might call you, but that kind of thing is what calls me. And I'm in this incredible position where I get to have a go at it. And who knows what will happen, but I'm all in. I'm throwing all of myself at it because, and it's hard, it's really interesting actually learning a new balance. I've got to go, okay, on any given day, how do I get my work hours in? We've been in lockdown. We've had, children at home and husband at home, and like one child finishing school, one child about to start school, like all these people in all these different positions, and, my friends all around the world doing all these amazing things that I want to keep up with as well. And seeing friends locally, just starting to be able to do that. And then having good food on the table and making ethical choices at home and sourcing ethical things for home. And then learning how to make different things. Like this week, I learned to make an avocado coconut hair mask, and I put that in my membership and on my blog. You can look it up, and like all these things. And there's so many things, and it's so exciting. So how do I do that without getting overwhelmed? Well, I've talked about that a little bit too. And I prioritize and I take it slow. And I leave spaces. I've just actually, hot tip, put a 2-hour buffer in my calendar every single day just to have it there, because why not? Space and time. Make the space and time. So I'm doing things like that to keep myself in check and keep myself in balance, because you can't train for a black belt, run a new business that supports women all over the world, run a blog, run a podcast, and be a full-time mother carer at home without a few tricks up your sleeve, you know? So I love doing that. That's like my absolute joy to do that. But the really cool thing, I guess, is that what I really get called to do is share all of this with you. So I just want to say from deep in my heart how grateful I am that you're here listening. And I'm incredibly proud of what we're creating collectively here with the Soul Mama Academy, and I'd encourage you to come and get involved. And there's currently a workshop on offer, actually a masterclass, about clearing mental clutter so that you can up-level in the same kind of way that I am without feeling overwhelmed and harried and rushed and all those things. You know, I want to share that. I want to show you guys how I do that in a really simple way. So do come along to that, register for that. I'll put the link in the show notes. And I just want to send a huge amount of love out to you guys. Come and check out the Soul Mama Academy. That's SOULMAMA Academy, ACADMEMY.com, soulmamaacademy.com. I have to get better at spelling that, don't I? But please do come and check it out. It's just heaps of fun we're having over there, and I'm just in so much joy sharing this stuff, and I know that it makes a difference for people, and I really encourage you to approach your feeling of wholeness, whatever that is and whatever that means, and do it in any way you can, even if it's just a baby step. Get off this podcast right now and go do something that makes you feel more whole, whatever that is. And start to notice, if you're not sure what that is, start to notice when you feel it. Just really pay attention. Look for the signs. You know, you set your intention to look for those signs in your life and you'll see them. You'll get the breadcrumbs to follow. You'll get the string lights, I call them, the ideas that lead you along. So I'm sending out huge amounts of love. I hope you've gained some value from this chat today, and I'm so grateful for you being here. And speaking from the heart, as always, lots and lots of love, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye for now.